Coach, real important question to start off with. Are you on Halloween duty tonight?
I'm always on Halloween duty. It is a fun holiday. My daughter's going as an angel. I think the youngest one is going as some character I don't know about. And then we've got a football player, Packers, of course, in the middle. So I don't know. The night's going to be tough. We got to dress up and get tough here tonight. So we're walking, though. Dickert's a walk. They're not doing that car driving.
What's Coach Dickert going as?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a big dress-up guy myself. So I got like a scream mask that I like to use and scare people with, so I might just go the easy way.
Talk a little football now and non-Halloween stuff. Just watching the game tape from Saturday, kind of want to ask about Falili in particular and his first, full game playing right tackle. What did you kind of see from him on tape?
Well, I think there's just flashes of what he's really going to be. And that doesn't mean he's there now, but it just really shows the progress that he's made to get to this point, to go against. When I watch Utah, I'm going to be honest, I think it was the best tackling team I've maybe ever seen in person. Okay, watching the tape. I don't even know if we broke too many tackles, and their physicality is very supreme. So I think he did a good job on that edge. I think there's a couple of times he needs to enhance his toolbox. Like when guys are long-arming him, he needs to learn to break that so he doesn't get walked back. But his athleticism, we believe, is some next-level talent. Okay, but he's just scratching the surface. He's getting better every day. I think he comes into the meetings wanting to get better and learning, and he was even late to a little bit of preparation through the bye week off of the Oregon State game. So now we're hoping this is his first full week of preparation, get ready for a game.
So the plan then is to leave him at the starting right tackle spot?
100%.
Do have to ask anything on Jalen Jenkins and Jordan Lee after we saw them leave Saturday?
Back to my Monday, my meetings here in a little bit, so we'll see kind of how that goes.
If Jalen isn't available, assume Dylan Payne and then Juvenci, kind of the top two backs in that scenario.
I mean, you might see Lincoln, you might see Striv, you might see Rob, you might see who else we got? Orion, we might see Anderson Grover, you might see anybody out there. Now the wild part is Stanford's onto their sixth running back too. I mean, they've had both positions on both teams have been, in tough positions, right? So there's no excuses. Whoever we put back there and however we shape it, they got to be ready to go.
Do you have an ideal number of carries you want to get to every game? Is there a set number, or is it just kind of depend on game flow?
It really depends on game flow, but right now it's not enough. We're not establishing the run enough, and I think even D Payne, I mean, even in the couple carries he had, I thought he navigated a box. I thought he got some tough yards, and I thought he managed some runs. And we got to trust that we have to be able to do that, and some of it is called runs, and we throw RPOs, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, but we really want to up that number so people have to come down and respect us running the football.
Over the past month, how much would you say, or would you agree that the defense has pulled its weight for the most part, and maybe what have you liked most from that unit since the start of October?
There's no question we've had high expectations for the defense, and we're proud about where those guys are at. But I think there's some times that we've been loose, right? And to win really close games against good opponents, when Utah is a top 15 opponent, you gotta play a certain way to be so dominant to win 14-10, 14-7, or 17-14, and it just hasn't quite been there. And that's a hard pressure to be on, and that's not the way we want to win games. But I think we have the capabilities to be dominant and win some games that way. We haven't been able to generate the takeaways. I mean, you look at the in-conference stats, I think we only have 3 in those 5 games, and those are things that we need to do to take that next step. But I think there's a lot of progress. There's a lot of excitement. I think guys are playing hard. We've rotated in a different amount of bodies in there. I think Christian Mejia played the best game I've ever seen him play against Utah, ever, which is encouraging for a coach that a guy like that is still getting better. So, and I think Derek Langford, after a slow start to the season, has really started to play well in conference play. And I think him and Shaw, have done a really good job of limiting a lot of explosive plays. And I think as a defense, we've been really good in that area.
Last season on offense, you had a lot of those, fiery kind of rally the troops guys with the 2 tackles, the 2 running backs, the slot backs. With Renard and Nakia sideline, do you sense that maybe the offense right now is maybe missing a little bit of that on-field leader, a guy who can kind of rally the troops when times get tough?
I just think right now, when I think about our offense, it takes me back to 2020, okay, when I first got here with that defense. Okay, if we had to play 12 games that season, we would have given up over 35 points a game, no doubt. Okay, and everyone would have been all worried about us and what we're doing. but we stuck to the process, right? There's a new scheme. You got to establish new effort levels, new expectations, new deals, right? And that's where we're at right now on offense. Have we fallen short of what we're capable of? Yes. Okay, but we're not going to panic. Okay, we're going to keep believing. We're going to stay the course. We're going to keep finding pieces, and we're going to maximize the capabilities of what this team can do. Okay, and I think that's where we're at. And like I said, we're not going to – progress is a process, all right? And everybody wants that path to success to just be nice and clean and easy, but there's a lot of ups and downs in that road, right? I really mean that, right? And this team is moving forward. Okay, and I think that's the important part of our program and where we're at and what we're doing. And I'm more energized than ever. And I know I'm going a lot of different directions on your question, right? But I'm more energized than ever with a clear vision of where we're taking this program, okay? And more importantly, about the people and the men that are surrounded in our program, okay? Because our guys came out today and practiced with an energy and with a passion and with a focus and with an effort that tells me they want to get better too, and that they're energized for these opportunities to finish these last 4 games, right? So there's a lot to this, and we're going to trust the process, and I know I'm going in a million directions, but we're building a program for the long term, and I think that's important. When you look back at it, guys, Washington State football hasn't had a normal recruiting cycle since 2018, okay, 2018, okay? So we're sticking true to what we want to do. And we haven't kind of fulfilled some of the expectations that we had. We own that. And, I think our offensive coaches are in there finding ways to make sure that we're getting better each and every week. Okay, and we've been a little bit at a standstill, but I'm excited for what we can do this week and where we're going. And those guys haven't allowed excuses to come in because it weakens the mission, right? So the players are taking ownership, coaches are taking ownership, and we're moving forward, right? And I'm excited about how we can finish this season offensively.
Kind of touched on it, but I was going to ask about kind of the urgency within the team right now to really get this one and kind of wipe away, turn the page from the skid.
Yeah, and the skid and adversity and all those things. Like, I didn't take this seat, and I'm not sitting in this seat for all the easy times. All right, after Wisconsin and everything's great, and the programs, oh man, everything's taking off. I'm in this seat because of times just like this. Okay, when it's hard. And my number one job is to make sure our team believes in itself and the individuals believe in themselves, and I'm maximizing their capabilities. That's why I'm sitting here, right? And that's why I'm so energized, because we have 4 amazing opportunities against 4 teams. They want the same things we do, right? Stanford's fighting for their tail off to extend their season, right? There's 2 dogs and 1 piece of meat out there on Saturday, and we got to go take it. And I think the way we practiced this morning shows that our team wants to go get it. And that's why I'm so energized today and excited and about where we're going and the opportunity we still have to put our stamp on this season. I mean, we've lost to 4 top 25 programs. I don't know if there's a team in the country that are currently ranked, right? We can throw away week 2 rankings, right? So, and we've had 2 real opportunities to win those football games, and we've fallen short. And there's things that I need to do better in those games to do those things, right? So we'll get this team better, and we're excited about this opportunity and the energy that we need to bring ourselves to this game.
Yeah, Coach. So plans against Tanner McKee, the transfer from Stanford. What are the plans this weekend?
I don't think he's a transfer, is he? No, he's been there a long time. I think he's an NFL talent. That's first and foremost. We played him last year. He's a big, long kid that can really throw the ball. The biggest thing when you look at Stanford and you think of Stanford offense, you think of all these big bodies and fullbacks. That's no more. That's not what they do anymore. Right? You're going to watch this Stanford team, and it is a completely different deal. They really went to Wake Forest, kind of made it known, this slow mesh RPO deal. So they're doing some of that. There are a lot of spread sets. They're 90% 11 personnel. I mean, so it's different. So McKee, I think, has next-level talent. He's just like the Hogan kid who's doing well in the NFL. So we got to have a plan to stop him. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and he's a big, strong pocket passer.
And getting Dijon and Rob going seems super important to your offense. How integral are they to this offense?
Well, I think it's not just those 2. It's getting everybody more consistent, okay? But it starts on that practice field. We had 8 drops at practice this morning, okay? And it's not good enough. We got to execute better in practice because that leads to success in games, period, right? So that's the mode that we're in. And, I expect Rob and Strib to take the lead on that, and Lincoln. But we got to make the plays Monday through Friday. That's how we make the plays on Saturday. It doesn't just show up. So we're fighting consistency, and, we want those guys to win and play in space, and I think those are two of our better guys. But, right now we're rotating in 8 guys to see who can give us a spark. And Zion did that. He had the big play. We took it down the field to him, and he made the play. So that's encouraging to see, and we need to see that competitive nature come out in every one of those guys.
How do you keep the philosophy in the locker room and on the field positive in a moment like this?
I mean, like I started, I'm full of energy. I'm full of optimism. I'm full of excitement for what we can do. And that's just not these 4 games. It's what we're doing in the future. And same question, why not? Why not? We get to play a game that we love, and we get to do it each and every day. And for these seniors, there's 28 days left in the season guaranteed, and you're fighting each day to get another one. Why not have energy, right? And if you don't have energy, then you don't belong in that locker room. And I think our guys know that. So they responded how I knew they would after a long weekend of looking in the mirror, and we're going to build off that this morning.
Can we expect anything different from the offensive attack against Stanford? Anything to focus on or anything to change?
I think there's a lot to focus on, but it starts with the details. It starts with every man doing their job. It starts with us executing. It starts with not getting behind the chains. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could do, right? And there's a lot of people, you have these plays and you want to change. I want to go more. I want to simplify. I want to stay the course. I want to do what our guys do well even more, right? But we got to stop having negative plays, penalties, holding calls, negative runs, negative screens. Utah out-physicaled us on the perimeter by a mile on Saturday. Okay, we can't have that, right? And it's a challenge to our guys, right? And that's what I'm talking about, that path to success. There's progress, right? Saturday or Thursday night, we took a little step back. We need to take a big step forward to keep this thing moving, okay? But it is a path, it is progress, and we're working towards that.
What have you seen from Cam Ward over this
Did you wear that Mariner stuff just for me today?
Well, it's Mariners Monday. I got it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. So it's been a tough stretch for the team, obviously, but what have you seen from Cam Ward's decision-making, and I guess what is your vision for Ward?
Hey, I thought we had some of our best protection in the pocket, and I thought he was calmed down a little bit more, not as erratic. I think we still don't protect him the way we're capable of doing that, but I thought he had calmer feet. He stepped up in the pocket more. I thought he ran with more authority. We had some designed runs for him. He just has to make sure he's securing the ball in a little bit higher fashion. So, but I thought he's there, but same thing. We're not getting through enough progressions down the field, right? And then when you're not getting production in your screen game, when you expect those to be 5-6 yards to stay ahead of the chains, we're putting ourselves in some bad situations and some long third downs. And that's why we can't convert and keep things moving. So, Cam's progressing. I think he still has all the talent to do it, but we need to be able to take the ball down the field, and we just haven't been able to do that so far this season, at least consistently enough.
When you spoke to your team's efforts this morning, what actions show you and demonstrate that effort?
Well, we're in period 17, and we're in the end of the 2 hours of practice, and we're in our team finish good on good, and the defensive scouts are cheering, the offensive scouts are cheering. Everyone's going back and forth. We're celebrating touchdowns and TFLs and plays, and that's how I know they're engaged, right? That's how I know they want it. And they were out there competing. And we added some couple competition segments today just to make sure our guys know that they got to earn it each and every day. So I thought that was encouraging from this morning's practice.
And we had Jalen Watson visited the Palouse last week. You had Abe Lucas and Liam Ryan in September. What does it mean to have guys who were, just in this program and are now finding success on the next level come back and visit?
I think it's very important, and it's one of the biggest things that we've talked about is bringing the history and the tradition of Washington State football back. And it's been 10 years or so since some of these guys have been really invited on the sideline and being back and wanting to be part of our program. It's really important to me. Okay, it is, because they share the experience that's really unique about Washington State. And then they go and do whatever they do in the world, whether it is NFL, whether it is being an engineer, whether it is being a businessman. And they say everything is possible from right here in Pullman, Washington. And everything's possible from right here to Washington State. And I want to get more of those guys back, and I want to have more of those guys talk to the team, so they share their experience, because I think it is unique. And I love that guys want to do it, right? Jalen on a bye week wants to come back here, right? that means you're creating an experience that's positive. And then hopefully someday the next phase is that you want to give back to that experience. Okay, and there's more ways than ever to give back in today's world. So it's just positive to see him out here. You know, he met with even our academic staff. He's going to finish his degree in the spring. I'm more encouraged about that than anything, trust me. Okay, and he's doing great things in the NFL, and his future is so bright. So there's just so many positives about having guys back around the program.
Awesome. Kind of just a different tone on this next question, but on Thursday, Robert Farrell tweeted something that he eventually deleted. I guess, what conversation did you have with him, and then what do you have specific expectations or a code of conduct for players on social media?
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what the tweet was, or I really don't. But social media, you know, now for these guys creates a lot of pressure, and we talk about it often, and we talk about not using it emotionally, right? Because it is a tool and it is good, and you have to know how to navigate it. And just you know, being a parent and telling guys to stay off of it all the time, that isn't creating experiences either. So I'm a big believer, whether they're saying all great things about you or whether they're saying hateful, negative things about you, there's no way like your ego and personality can handle it. And I think guys, I tell them all the time, turn your notifications off, right? It's a pool of people can have any opinion without a face to it. Right, and just use me as an example. Right, I tell them all the time. I use myself. You know, there's gonna be great things. There's gonna be negative things. You have to have enough inner confidence in yourself to know what reality is. Right, and social media isn't reality, no matter how many people think it is. Okay, so I think that's a unique challenge. There's a sports psychology piece that we always talk about it, but to the specific point of whatever Rob tweeted, I didn't see that.
On Thursday night, you could hear the crowd chanting "No more screens." From a coach's perspective, how do you go about adding to the playbook or changing schemes while also trying to maximize the current offense that you have in place?
Like I said, I've always been a fan that the best coaches in the world use what they have, right? And, you know, I've never gone into a game with a game plan that I think it wasn't the best for our players and our program in that situation, right? So as we go into those games, that's what we feel as coaches is best. Now, did we execute those plays? No, right? Was Utah way more physical on the perimeter than us? Yes, right? So you can't throw screens and get negative plays, and that's what we ended up having. And but we got to put our guys in the best situation to be successful, right? And I stand by that, and that's exactly what we're going to try to do each and every week. And trust me, you know, my dad thinks he can call plays. He can't, okay? He can't, all right? So we're going to stay the course, and I mean that about our offense, right? And that's why I alluded to the defense in 2020. Everyone would have been like, scrap this defense. No, stay the course. Let's evaluate this a year from now. Let's evaluate this like we're talking about the defense 3 years from now when we have the ability to establish who we are. And that's my message to everybody, right? So we're going to stay the course more than ever. We're going to double down on what we're doing, right? That's my mentality because I believe in the people that are doing it.
And 2 weeks ago, you said these last 6 games would tell you exactly what you needed to know about your team. You've got 4 left. You've got plenty in front of this team. You can achieve things that you want to achieve. Just kind of what's the message and what have you seen from your team in the last 2 weeks that makes you so energized today heading into these final 4 games?
Opportunity is everything in life. It is. You know, in the moment you don't have opportunities, that's when – you know, sometimes you really get tested. But this team has an opportunity, right? And I said this coming into the season. We could win every game this year. Okay, we could also lose every game this year because we're not talented enough just to show up and win, right? So that energizes me. And like I said, we got a lot of like teams down the stretch that won't be easy. Everyone's fighting for those last bowl eligibility spaces, right? And we are one of them. So Stanford's fighting their tail off, okay? We got then ASU, Arizona, you know, that other school on the other side of the state. Everyone wants those spots. So we got to keep fighting. And I think that's why the energy was high. They like each other. They want to keep playing for each other. We got a great senior class that I want to keep coaching, right? So there's a lot of things out there for us, right? So why not have energy? Why not attack the work, right? And that's what, you know, like I said, I'm energized about, and there's also just a real clear vision about what we're capable of doing.
Coach, just excuse me, wanted to follow up earlier on the running back question. How do you kind of get to that ideal number of carries, kind of from where things stand right now, where there wasn't maybe a ton on Thursday?
You know, I think there's certain points throughout the game, especially as we get into series. Bless you, Bill. I know you try to keep that down. It's okay. As you go through it, that, you know, and I think we do a good job planning off sidelines and even on opening scripts. But as we go through series, we have to stay committed to the run, you know, and that's 1st and 10 within. That's hopefully getting positive yards on 2nd down and, you know, being more balanced and, you know, just trusting some of those pieces in there to go get those tough yards. And you got to establish the run is what we want to do. So we got to keep a closer eye as we go in game, you know, where we're at and what's being successful.
Taking out some of the guys who have played from this freshman class, guys like Leighton and Jalen, there are a couple guys right now that over the last couple weeks have really impressed you, just what they're doing on scout team or even with the running with the twos.
Yeah, Rashad McKenzie. I think Rashad at defensive tackle is going to be a great player here, right? And that's putting a lot of pressure on a young guy. But those are the type of expectations that I have for Rashad and what he's capable of doing and how physical he is. And I've said this name before, but, you know, Zach Miller and Luke Roten, you know, we're in the process now of getting those guys a lot of the twos reps at tackle. And, you know, really investing in those guys and what they're going to do, and that's going to pay dividends down the road. So I think those are a couple names that really stand out to me of what they're doing. And this is that point in that scout team, too, to your point that, man, it's hard, right? You're now in week 10. You've been beat up for 10 weeks to keep this thing going. You know, but I'm really liking where those guys are at, and those are foundational interior pieces that we can build on.
Coach, you say stay the course a lot, and today you mentioned progress. How do you think your team is doing at staying the course, and where do you think you are with your progression?
You know, like I said, but the path to success, everyone wants it to be nice and smooth, right? And but where I judge it is that we're still moving forward, okay? And I do believe we're still getting better, and sometimes that's hard to see, right? And through adversity and through not winning games, you know, we get judged in wins and losses. I do. I understand that, right? But I still think the team's getting better, you know, and I like I said, to show up Sunday, energized, ready to go, to show up at 6:45 this morning and practice their ass off, that's how I know the team's getting better, okay? So it's a long-term process. It is, right? And that's why I don't have a panic button on me at all, ever, okay? Because I know where we're going and I know the developmental pieces that it takes to get there. I do, right? So we're always going to stay that course.
On Stanford, we talked about, you know, McKee's kind of the strong suit offensively. What do they kind of lean on the other side of the ball?
Oh, big physicality. You know, I think the corner's an NFL draft pick. Kelly, I believe his name. They don't even list a backup to him. That's how good he is. But I think the other guy, 15, you know, I think he is big, strong, physical. They got another edge, 23. That's just a baby out there as a freshman that's going to be phenomenal. So I think they've been big and physical up front, and they've had a couple lapses defensively at times, but I think ultimately they've been a little bit more consistent. So we have to neutralize those edge positions, and we got to make sure that we're giving Cam time and we're creating some of those run lanes, and, you know, we feel like we can use some of the space, and we need to win space. We haven't been able to do that the last 4 weeks. So our guys have to take it to task on the edges, and we have to do some things to make sure that we're getting the ball in space and we're winning in those situations.
Good.
Thank you. Go Cougs.